All right, so hello everyone. Today is 22nd of September. So it's Wednesday and it's 5 p.m. Moscow time. So I hope that everyone is having a good day and I welcome everybody on today's demo for Philos Wallet. So let's begin. So our agenda will be a little bit more compressed and condensed comparing to like usual one. So we're going to still discuss goals and results of current sprint. However, we will discuss more releases because during to this sprint, there were so many releases happening. It's actually, I think, like 4 or 5 releases were done during the past 2 weeks. So we're going to dive into the details of them and reasoning why they happened and how the team handled them. And of course, we will have more details about the progress of the long-awaited release of multi-asset and new networks update. And in the end of the presentation, we will also discuss like next plans and prioritization. So let's begin. Damn, this this is a long list. So here are the goals which our team created for like 2-week sprint 2 weeks ago. And you can see that first goal was to create the Android release with history and bug fixes, because by that time, like 2 weeks ago, we had several annoying defects in the production. Like there was an alert, which was false positive, which was saying basically for the users to change validators, because the validator which was selected for this user was oversubscribed. However, in fact, it's not always a bad thing. So whenever user has their stake allocated to the oversubscribed validator, it might be fine. The case that the user will not receive rewards only if their stake is allocated to the oversubscribed part of this validator. And this alert was working not well. So it was false positive. It was showing it every time the stake allocated to oversubscribed validator. And there are some other fixes. So, but the main feature was to provide the history so that our Android users, as well as iOS users, can see finally the staking rewards on the wallet screen. So whole picture of their balances now can be fetched from this history and aligned with the balance. The next goal was to finish and refine the 1.10 iOS release, which was focused on the analytics and using the subquery API. Basically, our goal is to provide the analytics tool for the users so that they can analyze the staking rewards, how their staking is behaving, and what is the performance of the validators which they're selected. And we will see a demo today on this presentation for this functionality. And of course, the main focus of the team now is a 2.0 release for Android and iOS, which is focused on the multi-asset and new networks features. So to sum up this, first we need to kind of prepare mobile apps to work with multiple networks to understand their functionality, right? And to maintain those connections between multiple networks. And on top of that, we need to build new user interface which satisfies required functionality. So like the send tokens, the transaction history in each of the network, and all of this. Right, so that was initial set of goals. Now let's see how it was changed after the 2 weeks. You can see that we have a chunk of work added below, and it's called additional scope. And in fact, during our work, we were always interrupted with some issues which were happening on the production, especially on iOS client. So we had to rush with the fixes, like to fix the pending rewards, because Subscan API was not satisfying the load from our users, right? So we had to rush with a fix to replace it with subquery API. We also noticed some users were complaining about an issue that they couldn't tap on the stake widget, which we have on the staking screen. The app was just not responding for that. So we spent some time researching and understanding what's going on. And also we delivered the fix for the min stake because for some reason it was not updated in the alerts for the users. And finally, for 1.9.7 release, we had to deliver a fix for how iOS application is fetching runtime types and storing them. And we will talk in the details on the future slides about that. But generally, the velocity of the development was pretty much fine. So we have released successfully the Android one, which is 1.9.4. And finally, Android users are not suffering with those false positive issues, and they can see the history of their operations on the wallet screen. We have also completed the 1.10 release in terms of the development, and during the testing, we found some issues, mostly regarding how fast the data is fetched from the subquery API. So we are now working with our subquery team on the improvements in terms of the performance of this requests. And for the main goal, which is 2.0 release, we basically finished all this work, which is basically a fundament for our future features, like the user interface one. And we were able to basically implement the first step in terms of the user interface to support the crowd loans in the new version. So now on the crowd loans, user can switch between like Kusama crowd loans, Polkadot crowd loans, and so on. And we also planned several features related to the account management, because it's now has new user interface and logic behind that. And we were planning to start development of the wallet functionality. However, we were not able to kind of complete it in the old way, because we were interrupted with all these hot fixes required us to be developed. Right. So are there any questions regarding this list, or we can proceed further? I would say that this sprint was the most release oriented, because I cannot recall the sprint which had so many releases like that one. Okay, so let's proceed further and let's discuss all these releases in the details. So I think the most excited one is the Android one, because it's finally bringing the history feature on the Android application. And yeah, many users were asking for that, to see their staking rewards and other operations such as staking slashes, or for example, crowd loan contributions, because they wanted to verify that their crowd loan operation was submitted. And before, our history on the wallet screen were showing only transfer operations, so it was not there. So yeah, now they have a tool to verify their balance and the amount of it. And of course, those important fixes for staking, such as for some quiet time, the total rewards on the staking screen, so the whole sum up of the gains from staking, were not updated on the staking screen. So we also fixed that by migrating from one subquery project, which was supposed to be used for educational purposes, on the completely new one, which we built together with subquery team. We also fixed this false positive oversubscribed alert, which I mentioned. And we fixed number of the screens, such as, for example, your validators, which had wrong number for elected validators. And we also removed artificial limitation for a user to change staking parameters, for example, to change the validators with which they're nominating, if maximum number of nominators in the network reached, because basically Polkadot removed this limitation, and Polkadot and Kusama, sorry, removed this limitation from the blockchain logic. So we had to apply this as well on our side. And generally, we also migrated from Subscan API to CoinGecko API to receive the fiat representation of the balance. There are two reasons for that. First one is our current load from the mobile applications, and currently we have like roughly 40,000 users summing up Android and iOS. So this load was not able to be held by the Subscan API, so we had to research other API to receive the fiat representation, and we decided to switch to the CoinGecko API because of that. And the second reason, since we are introducing more tokens into the application, we need more complete API for receiving fiat representations, because now in the future updates, we will have other tokens like Moonriver, Karura, and others, which has their fiat representation, but it's not available using the Subscan API. So that's why we decided to switch earlier. And other minor fixes were introduced to Android 1.9.4 release. And I will show just a quick demo because it's been a while since we have not shown anything for Android. So I think everybody missing it. But yeah, that's how our Android application looks like. And you can see that now we have staking rewards right on the wallet screen, and you can see them. You can go to the details of which reward. You can tap on the identifier of this record, and you can basically copy ID or view on Polkascan, for example. And you can see all the details such as date and the status. And that's basically completes the whole operation list for the account, because you can now go to the filters. You can filter all these records how you want to see it. For example, I don't want to see rewards and slashes because there are too many of them, and I want to focus on transfers and other operations with my account. So I hit apply, I wait my history to be loaded, and now I can see all these other not reward and not staking slashes records in my wallet history. So yeah, that's kind of cool. So I can see the transfers from which account to which account. I can see my contributions, when it happened, extrinsic hash, once again, to see in Polkascan or Subscan. And yeah, so now the history on Android is finally complete. So all records will be displayed here. And yeah, basically all these fixes with minimum stake were fixed. So if you will go to the Polkadot, recently Polkadot updated the minimum stake from 80 to 120, and you can see that now it's also represented because we are using the runtime variable from the blockchain. All right, so that's how it looks on the Android now. Finally, we have opportunity to see the history on the wallet screen. All right, so let's go back to the slides. I see the question, is it possible to filter only slashes? Well, for now, no, but we might consider to make more filters to decompose them, right? Because we have such opportunity now. But what we wanted to focus here is to kind of provide these filters as a use cases, right? So if you're talking about people who are interested in staking rewards, then in this case, they're also interested in slashes because they need to see this slashes applied to their account, basically, so that they can track these changes with their staking more precisely. But yeah, I think that we can introduce this decomposition, especially after we will finish the next major update. We will have more time for the improvements in other places. All right, so let's proceed with this hot fixes for iOS. Here's the list of all of them. I will go quickly through that. So basically, we have replaced whole places where we were using Subscan API to other APIs like subquery for pending rewards, CoinGecko API for fiat rate. And the only one place in iOS now which is using Subscan is the history. There are reasons for that, because history itself seems to be more robust and more complete in terms of the data source using the Subscan API. So we are now working with subquery team to kind of improve the history from their API so that we can switch iOS version as well. But for now, we decided to stick with Subscan API just for the history and switch as soon as we will finish our work with the Subscan, with the subquery, sorry. Yeah, we have already discussed the issue with staking widget being not recognized in terms of the tab. Oh, and this is an interesting one. So we had an issue which has happened on 16th of September. And basically, you can go to our Twitter account and read more about it. We decided to put the postmortem, which is basically the history of the incident and how we handle this incident, right? So you can see all this information about that. And our goal was to be transparent with the users so that community can understand what happened. But long story short, we were using the Polkascan repository for fetching the runtime types so that our application can understand how to read runtime metadata from the blockchain directly. And there was some unexpected changes in this repository which were made by the Polkascan team. So we communicated quickly with them in order to roll back these changes until we will basically prepare an update for these changes. So yeah, it went pretty fast. I mean, in terms of the fix. However, it happened, so we decided to be transparent so that everyone understands the situation. Right. And there were some other minor fixes such as localization improvements and yeah, minimal stake displaying alerts delivered in these versions. Yeah, all of this, including like Android one, are already available in App Store and Google Play. So make sure that your Phyllis wallet is updated. All right, so let's talk for a little for the 1.10 update for iOS, which is focused completely on the staking features. So there are 4 major additions with this release. First one being staking analytics widget, so that users can see the preview of their staking charts and staking gains for the last 7 days. And there are 2 separate screens with charts and history, which users can basically utilize to understand how their staking works. And those features were implemented, and now they are passing the quality assurance so that our team is verifying that before we can finally release it. You can see on the slide also the work which requires to be done before we will push this to the App Store so that that would be available for our users. So basically, first we need to wait for subquery project to finish indexing. So we have developed and we have optimized our code for a little. And now we just need to wait until this code will finally synchronize with the blockchain in terms of the data so that we can basically use it. The second point here is that we need to work with subquery team for the load balancing strategy. So subquery is an amazing tool to provide you the huge amount of data to be used in decentralized applications, such as Phyllis Wallet, for example, right? Which means that all their projects are open and they are in open source. They're available publicly in terms of the API. However, when we started to test this API in terms of the load, we noticed that basically this infrastructure is not ready for amount of the users which we have. So we will work with their team on the load balancing strategy. And there are some user interface refinements to make the charts more prettier and minor bug fixes. So let's take a look on how these analytics features looks now in the application. And let me just quickly switch my sharing to the iOS device. By the way, while I will present you analytics features, it would be really interesting to hear or to read your thoughts about like what you would like as a user to see in staking analytics, like how we should present the staking data to the user, or what should we show for the users so that they can analyze their staking performance in better way, right? So you can now see the new look for the staking screen, right? We decided to minimize Kusama network or Polkadot network widget on the top so that user can access the stake widget and the analytics widget on basically every device, either small or the big one, right? And as a widget, we are showing the 7 days rewards, so rewards for the last 7 days. We are also showing the average reward across this time period, which is 7 days, right? And we can see that for this particular account, the average reward for each day is 0.4 Kusamas. So now let's go to the details of analytics. And now we can see that, yeah, of course, the data is being loaded. But we also see that we have 3 pages here: rewards, stake, and the validators. So let's see what we have on the rewards page. So we have a bigger version of the chart, right? In which we can select the periods now. So we have 7 days, we have 30 days, we have 1 year, and we have all. So like the period with complete the data for this account. So let's switch to the 30 days. You can see that we have Kusama average line on each of the time period, right? Because it's very useful, and I would like to talk for a little about this. Due to the nature of how staking rewards are working or how they are distributed, based on the work of which validator did in certain era or certain day, if you want, basically network allocates certain value of the reward, right? So sometimes you can see the situation as the following. So for example, for this day, for August 28th, this particular account for the same amount of stake received just 0.01 Kusamas. However, day before, the reward was 8 times more. That's basically due to the nature how Kusama rewards are distributed and calculated, and not only Kusama, but rewards like in the substrate networks like Polkadot and Kusama. However, if you will take a look on the average line, you can see that basically it's just 0.06, which in fact, if you will calculate, correspond to the promised API, which you can see in the Fearless wallet. So yeah, that's very important for the user to see, because if this line wouldn't exist, then it would raise lots of questions. And yeah, users might panic because of that. What else we have on the screen? So you already saw that I can touch this chart to basically select any bar from it. For example, let's stop on this one. And I can also scroll below to see all history records for this particular day, right? And if I will select, for example, something like 1 year, right? And I will select, for example, this bar, which is September, or let's select the August. I can see all my staking rewards for the August, right? So I can scroll and see all of them here, just for this month, which is August, right? Which is kind of cool. And of course, if I will just unselect and I will select all, I will see all my staking rewards in this scrollable way. And you can see that we can basically scroll all of them here. What else we have? We have pending rewards, because lots of users usually don't know how the Kusama and Polkadot rewards are working. So we decided to put pending rewards so that they can understand that if they're missing something from the rewards, then they have opportunity to understand what's going on, right? So they can see that there is such thing as pending rewards exist in Polkadot and Kusama's staking. And we also have put this guiding text, which you probably already saw, because this is not new functionality. It was existing before staking analytics, but just for users to understand how the staking rewards are working. So basically every era, they're allocated for the accounts. So they're not distributed immediately, but just allocated, right? And usually validator's job to distribute these rewards or to pay out them, right? However, every account can do this, including the user who is acting as a nominator. So yeah, we decided to put this little text for them to help. And of course, if there are some pending rewards, they will be displayed here. So they will understand that these rewards are already allocated to them, and they can expect these rewards to be paid in the future. All right, I can see some questions in the chat. Give me a second. For the rewards and slashes, let's say report, we were thinking about this. It's possible from mobile perspective, right? It's even possible to generate this file and to send on the email. And lots of users basically requested us to implement such feature because they're using this information for the taxes, right? But yeah, I think we will consider this in like next updates. It's certainly something which we can do, but we need to align this with the priorities. But this is definitely in our backlog, at least. Do you use some API for graph or some of So we're using, in terms of how charts are implemented, we're using the common library in iOS and Android community. And in terms of the data source, we have developed by ourselves with the help of subquery team, subquery project, which basically fetches this logic, this data using the logic which we developed. And basically, mobile application of Phyllis is sending the API request to receive this data directly to the app. Those API are public one, so any application in ecosystem can use it, can benefit from it. It's completely available. And in fact, this was one of the grants to the Kusama treasury. So yeah, any project basically can implement such functionality now using the API which we developed together with subquery team. All right, we also have the stake page here, and this can be really interesting one for some use cases. So for example, this particular account is using the rewards to be restaked, which means that as soon as rewards are allocated or distributed to this account, the stake is increased. So yeah. And you can see how it displayed on the chart. So we can as well tap here, and we can see precisely how it's being changed on this chart, right? And we can, of course, select the period, like 7 days, 30 days, 1 year, all. And you can see that it's kind of funny how this staking amount was changing for this account, because it seems that this particular account was sometimes staking more, sometimes withdrawing from staking, and then adding more. So yeah, it's kind of can be now noticed using the chart. But yeah, generally, you can see the picture how your stake is increased. There is a cool feature which we were also thinking about, is to add fiat representation on the same chart, right? So users kind of can see how their staking increased in the Kusama token, and also they can see how fiat representation is changing based on the price of the certain token, for example, Kusama here, right? That might be really interesting addition to such chart. But yeah, right now we can see like how staking is being changed, and of course, if you have, for example, slashes, the chart will go down in this case. And similar to kind of previous page, you will see all records in the history which are affecting your stake, which means that reward, stake more, or unstake requests, slashes, all of them will be displayed in this history so that you can clearly understand what's going on these charts, right? So yeah, basically, I think that's really cool and useful. Yeah, since there are no questions in the chat, let's proceed to the validators one. So for validators one, it's kind of really interesting. So we have actually another functionality which is now hidden, but yeah, let's discuss what we see now on the screen. So validators screen here should basically help user to understand the validators which performs the most. So kind of the best from selected validators, right? So we can see that for this account, we have these validators which are currently selected by this user. So it's like 24 validators. And we can basically understand that, for example, with those who are allocated on the bottom of this list, user basically have not staked at all for like 200 errors, right? Like 50 days, which is pretty interesting and which can be understood by the user that basically they can remove these validators from the list and replace with other validators based on some metrics which user will decide to select. And we also can understand, like, for example, the most picked validator by the network for our account is stake ops, that one. It was elected for 18% for 39 errors. And basically, yeah, that's what we can see here. What we can also see that if we will tap on this gray area, we are able to see basically the information during the period which staking was inactive, right? Which is 2.8% or 6 errors. So yeah, that's kind of cool. We can also see the details for each validator, like their information, their statuses, their total stake, and so on. So that is available as well. All right, are there any questions here? I see some funny messages in the chat, but yeah, I think we can proceed further. So yeah, that's the analytics. For iOS, we are finishing to test this feature to verify and also to work with the subquery team for basically optimize the data source, right? And for the Android, we most likely will develop this only after 2.0 release due to specific of our team size right now. So let me stop sharing on iOS and let me share the screen with the slides. All right, so yeah, feel free to suggest any ideas that you have for staking analytics. We are always happy to explore them together with the community. We most likely will work on the reports functionality sometime after 2.0 release. And yeah, we are also looking towards the new features for the staking analytics and staking overall. All right, so let's proceed further. Finally, we have the slide for multi-asset and new networks. So this update and this proposal is kind of the main priority of our team. So we are completely focused on this right now. And here's the list of the progress and achievements so far. So right now, mobile applications can connect to multiple networks, can understand their runtimes, so meaning how these networks are working, right? And basically, they can maintain these connections at the same time. So Phyllis Wallet can connect to like several networks at the same time and maintain this connection to basically update the data on the fly. For example, balances. However, we had previous logic, and I'm talking for the next point, mappers for adopting domain logic. So we had a previous logic implemented, like how staking works, how crowd loan works, how wallet works, and so on. And now we're bringing this whole new methods, how network should work, right? So how our application should communicate with the blockchains, how this information should be stored, and so on. Which means that we need to basically connect these two things, like new logic with the network and existing set of features, which means that we need to develop these adapters or mappers between these two huge things. So that was done already by our team for Android and iOS. And basically, we already migrated staking and crowd loans. So now they're working in the same way how it's working now in the App Store and Google Play versions. Besides the fact that now users can switch between tokens, which can be used for staking and crowd loans. For example, on staking screen, hold on, give me a second. I will share you the mockups. So for example, on the staking screen, we would be able to now select a token which can be staked, for example, Kusama, or any other supported token, basically. Like we're going to support Moonriver staking, for example. So in addition to Kusama, Polkadot, and other tokens, we will have also Moonriver token available to be selected. And the same screen and the same logic on the crowd loans, right? So we will see the screen with the crowd loans, and we are able to select token which will be used for contributions. yeah, kind of like that. So this was developed so far. And now the team is working for the rest big chunks of work, which is wallet, accounts, settings, and the networks in terms of the user interface. So we need to now develop all these new user interfaces and map this logic to the new functionality. Also, if you are interested in what network we will support, or what network we are already supporting or we are planning to support, you can always visit our GitHub repository, Fearless Utils, and open chains folder. And here you will find the chains and chains dev. So chains dev would be the networks which we are currently using in internal version for testing. And you can see all the networks which you can find in the ecosystem, like Polkadot, Kusama, Westend, some parachains like StateMine, Karura, Moonriver, and so on. You can find some useful data, for example, blockchain nodes and information about the tokens and so on. Basically, our application will use this information to connect to the different networks. And the cool thing about it is that as soon as we will add the network here, for example, I'm not sure that we have Basilisk here, but since Basilisk just won the crowd loan, just won the parachain auction, sorry. So now Basilisk will become a parachain on Kusama. We can just update this GitHub repository by adding the same information about Basilisk. And the Basilisk network will just appear on the wallet screen because our application is looking at this file, and whenever this file is updated, it basically fetches all this information and using it to add the new network and new token to the app. Yeah, which is kind of cool. So ideally, the users don't need to update their apps as soon as there is some new network which we can support. All right, so the next point is that we have also finished the users' migrations from old account storage and secret storage to the new one. And now our quality assurance engineers just started to test this user migration, right? So we are now testing this migration so that everything will work smooth. Next point here is that we will continue to develop wallet features, and the testing of them expected to start next week. Probably by the end of next week, we will already test how like Moonriver transfers are working, Karura transfers are working in Fearless Wallet, and so on. And of course, in terms of the user interface mockups, we are developing them and refining them in terms of a new functionality. For example, we are updating the user flows for create, import, and export users account because we now have received some feedback from the community, so we can improve how, for example, account management is presented into the application. Can you please elaborate on secret storage? Yes, sure. So this work relates to basically the fact that the Fearless wallet itself now will use, will use not just accounts like it's in the current version. You have your Kusama account or you have your Polkadot account, and whenever you switch between them, your application is always using your private key to connect to certain network, for example, Kusama in this case, right? Since we're now migrating to the approach which connects to the multiple networks, we need to have something more than just one private key. And we decided to come up with a concept of so-called meta accounts or wallets, which basically has different accounts inside of it. So I better just to show you a picture of it. So basically, we now will have a wallets, right? And inside of which wallet you have your associated accounts, right? This Polkadot, Kusama, Karura, Moonriver, Sora, Kilt, and so on. And the thing is, that change basically relates to the fact that we need to change how secret storage, so how your application stores your private key in secured storage of either iOS or Android. Because yes, secret storage is a, well, secret place and encrypted place in the operation system where all such critical data is stored. And the fact that now we can change certain accounts inside wallets, for example, I can just go and swap Polkadot account here to another one, like completely new, or import certain account to be used in this wallet, right? Because this feature will be also possible. It means that we need to refactor the way how we were working with the secret storage, right? Which means that we need to be very careful, because we had old secret storage and let's say database, right? And now we have a completely new structure, and we need to migrate from old one to the new, and we need this process to, yeah, to go very smooth and without any issues. So yeah. All right, let's continue with the slides. Supported networks. Right. Since I show you this repository with a change JSON, right, with the old networks which we will support, we already tested our application, and we noticed that not all networks are using the latest substrate version, right? Of course, Polkadot, Kusama, and Kusama's parachains are using the latest version of the substrate, which makes our integration very easy, right? So it's easy for us to integrate with these networks. However, there are some networks in the ecosystem which are using not the latest version of substrate metadata, which not meaning that it's not possible for us to integrate them, but it means that it requires us extra effort right now to integrate them. We will see, will these networks make it to 2.0 release, or we will postpone it to like updates which will follow like in several weeks, like 2 weeks. But yeah, the networks which you see on the slide here, they will like guaranteed be delivered in the new update. And the networks on the bottom, like Sora, Edgeware, Kulupu, we will see how it go basically. Or if, for example, any of this network will update their substrate metadata to up-to-date version, which is like 13th, then it basically means that we can support it out of the box. Yeah, on the previous presentation or demo, we have presented you these slides, right? Those basically would be presented to the user once they will update the app, so that they will have information about what's new in Fearless Wallet. And we have improved them for a little. So here's the new version. There are many topics which basically these slides are doing for the user. We really want to build this bridge of understanding for the user what's going on into the application, because we're kind of innovative with this account representation, because none of the applications which can like send tokens has this functionality yet. So it's very important for user to understand what's going on with their accounts and keys, right? We also want to highlight that now we support much more networks, right? We want to highlight that they can customize their wallets, so they can swap these accounts inside of each wallet, so that yeah, basically it addresses the fact that some users created 2 different accounts without any reasoning for Kusama and Polkadot, and right now they want to unite it into the application, so that once they go to the wallet screen, they will see Kusama balance for one account and Polkadot balance for another account, which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's also will be a feature. And the last slide is very important for the user because it tells you 2 things. First, that we are in complete harmony in the ecosystem, right? So you can use accounts from Fearless Wallet in Polkadot.js or any other DeFi wallet of the ecosystem, like Polka Wallet, Math Wallet, or any wallet like that, right? And second, it reminds that it's very important to make a backup of your key. So like write on piece of paper or any other method which allows you to make a backup of your accounts or wallets. Yeah, so that's basically a little update of how we will present it to the users which are not participating in our demos and which will be completely surprised as soon as this update will hit the App Store and Google Play. Yeah, any questions so far? Right, so let's move to the plans and priorities. Right, so as I mentioned previously, the team is fully focused on version 2.0 release with multi-asset and new networks, right? We have some milestones which we currently aiming. So we want to start open beta test, which means that anyone can download new version of the app and basically test it. So that should be delivered in 2-3 weeks or like middle of October. And after 2.0 update, we will also create a report for Kusama console because basically we were working on using the funds from Kusama treasury and we need to present results. The next point here is that most likely the next proposal and next feature set will be related to the governance features and cold wallets integration because many users requested cold wallets like for quite a while because they care a lot for the security aspects. And for the governance, we really want to make it accessible and convenient for the users to participate in the governance because we see that not all the users who are now in the ecosystem for the staking, for the transfers, and all other aspects are really familiar with the governance. So we want to basically provide a convenient way to participate in it, kind of similar to what we did with the staking. We're also considering new collaborations with other parachains. Like we would like to work more with Moonriver, Karura, Sora, and other networks so that we would be able to deliver more features for our community so that our community can basically use Fearless Wallet for more use cases. Right, and as for reminder, all crowd loans on Polkadot and Kusama are supported in Fearless Wallet. So feel free to use it for your contributions on the blockchain and yeah, stay fearless. And reminder about the rewards. As soon as we will deliver this 2.0 update, all your crowd loan rewards will be allocated to the same account which you have used for the contributions. So you will see just new wallet screen with all these new tokens and your balances. And if it's urgent for you to see these tokens now, you can export your account from Fearless Wallet since it's like compatible with any of application and ecosystem and basically use it in this app. Right. 2.0 will be available for both iOS and Android at the same time. That's our goal because that's the reason why we postponed the analytics feature and replaced and switched the priority for the 2.0 because basically the community, what really community wants now is to have access to see the rewards which they have received already from the crowd loans, like for Karura, Moonriver, and so on, into the Fearless Wallet. And for now, they cannot access them using the Fearless Wallet. So that's why it is our top priority now to provide this update so that user will see all their tokens in the Fearless Wallet. So yeah, that's our goal, to provide at the same time without any time gaps. Yeah, I'm also excited for the governance features because honestly, I'm personally not really active with the governance yet, but that's the whole goal for the Polkadot and Kusama, I think, to make to secure the network with the staking and to allow users to use stake tokens to kind of help with the decisions in the network, in the future of the network. So it's really kind of cool. All right, I think we're done with the demo. So thanks everyone who joined. We will most likely have new demo in next 2 weeks. So I will see you in 2 weeks and have a great evening. Bye.